I thought we were rehearsing the scene. And they went, okay, and action, and we did the first scene. They said, okay, and moving on. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, this is how fast you shoot, because it's just a powerhouse churning out.
Hey there, it's Connor Muller, and welcome to Let's Chat Showbiz. This podcast is all about Australian showbiz. We're talking the glitz, the glam, the tough times, and everything in between. Let's get this show on the road. Today's guest is an actor, a writer, and a director. He's appeared on Australia's screens and stages for years. From shows like Comedy Inc., Blue Heelers, and even Neighbours, he's currently starring in Fountain Lakes Y2K at the Adelaide Fringe Festival. We're thrilled to welcome Scott Brennan. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you for having me. Wow, you make me sound like I've done stuff. It's great.
Now, you're obviously an actor, but you're also a writer and director. I want to start with talking to you about your writing. In 2003, you were a writer on Skithouse. Do you remember much about that, and how did you get that job?
Oh gosh, how did I get that job? Oh, I was actually just doing the right thing at the right time. I started doing stand-up, like I was being a kind of student theatre actor and all that stuff through uni, and then ran into an old friend on the street one day who said, oh, he just opened a comedy room, a stand-up room, particularly for people just starting out. And he said, oh, I reckon you'd be good at stand-up, Scotty. Do you want to do a gig? And I stupidly, without thinking, went, yeah, sure. And so I wrote some stand-up and did the gig, and it went well, and then I just kind of kept going. It was only about 4 or 5 gigs in where I kind of went, what am I doing, honestly? Stand-up. I should be scared of doing this. But and then, because I'm an actor, I was doing, character stuff and all that kind of stuff on stage, sketches and improv and stuff like that. And I just happened to be doing the right thing. And when Roving Enterprises were putting together their list of people they wanted in Skithouse. And I'd known, like I was doing stand-up with Rove and Peter Hallier and Corinne Grant and all that kind of stuff. They were the big guns at the time. And so, yeah, I really just happened to be doing the right thing at the right time. And luckily I was on their kind of first list of people, and they rang me and went, do you want to do this pilot? And I went, okay. And then we did the pilot and then got the series, and it all happened really fairly quickly.
Yeah, right. Did you enjoy your time on that?
Oh, that was just like, because it was a dream come true. That was because I knew most of the people on it, like Tripod Boys and Tom Gleeson, and like I'd been kind of working with, and it was all of our kind of first step into television. And so we just suddenly, we all kind of went through it together. It was a real kind of bonding family kind of thing that we suddenly were plunged into this world where we could let Australia see what we were doing, and we could just, because we were writing, we could write what we wanted. And of course there were certain restrictions that, a lot of the stuff we were doing on stage we couldn't do on television. But it was just a really kind of joyous introduction because we're all kind of at the same stage and going through it together. It was like this grand introduction to TV, and it was a dream come true. It was so much fun. And
are you still crossing paths? Obviously, you crossed paths with a lot of people from that time.
Yeah, actually, I went and saw the Grats here in Adelaide, which is like Tom Gleeson and Gatesy and Rusty Bertha and Sammy J and Andrew Hansen, and they were all kind of guys that I'd kind of come through the ranks with, and we're all middle-aged men now, and so it is kind of weird, going from the bright young things just being introduced, and now we're kind of just, oh, not you again. But but I still I'm still friends with a lot of those guys, and because we've got such a kind of that real history together. So it's always lovely, and nothing changes. We're still just big idiots. We can be we're the old guard now, and we're just, none of us know what the hell we're doing. I think we know less now, and that was the beautiful thing about Skithouse, that because we were kind of fairly early on in our career, we kind of didn't really second guess ourselves. Now we would be filled with anxiety, and but back then it was just like, let's just do this and that, and so it was really kind of, there was a real freedom to it.
Now, in 2012, you were a writer on Prank Patrol.
I was.
You wrote 24 episodes.
Something like that.
What was that experience like? I mean, I grew up watching that show.
Oh,
that was
right.
that's a fun show that I grew up watching.
That was great. I got that Fiona Harris was in Skithouse and then Comedy Inc. With me, who's a dear friend. She just rang me one day, and because she was the other script writer on that, and they'd lost a script writer. There were two, supposed to be two, and she rang and said, "Look, would you be interested? Do you want to?" And I was like, "Yes," and ended up writing half of that series.
Yeah, right.
And that was great fun because it's very formulaic. That those episodes, and so it really was just a matter. All right, what happens now? Okay, what happens now?
Yeah,
they came with me with the idea. This is the prank. And so I'd have to kind of just write the beats and the moments and, all the little the introduction bits and all that. And that was really fun, actually, because I got to do a couple of the pranks as well.
Oh, okay.
And there was one that was really great, which was like I played I played a guy who worked in the tip, like the garbage tip, but I'd been putting together this super weapon car. And the kids were left alone with the remote control, and they pressed the buttons, and things started exploding, and there were laser beams and all sorts of stuff like that. And like that's really fun.
Yeah.
So I got to kind of do quite a lot on that, and I can't believe that I wrote that many episodes, honestly, because it felt like it just went like that.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Now, in 2018, you were.
Gosh, you really okay. You're listing the years.
Well, 2018 is not that long ago.
Okay, all right.
That's probably, I haven't
as far back as I'm willing to go.
There's a few more dates anyway. You were a writer on the project.
Yes.
You wrote 53 episodes.
Did I?
Are you able to give a bit of a rundown of what the process looks like to writing episodes of the project? Because obviously it's different to writing for a TV series.
Very different. Well, I was in the kind of comedy writer's room.
Right.
So we would, there would be producers who would create each segment. So they'd be news producers, and the individuals would work on their own news segments. But then we, as the comedy writers, we wrote any of the sometimes they would do little sketchy bits, but not really. But they would have what they called chats. And if you remember that they would do the news read and say, this is the news, and the last item in the news would always be something a bit funny or weird or quirky or whatever, and then they'd have a bit of a chat about that. And so I hope I'm not giving too much away, the peek behind the curtain here, but basically we would just write jokes on that chat, so that the hosts would get literally kind of 2 pages of potential punchlines or jokes about that. So we would just churn out all these kind of punchlines and jokes on each kind of topic.
Yeah.
But then my job was to be in the control room, and I would have to put all of the scripts into auto cue so that they would all be in order, and so I would have to be in the control room with the headset on. It was all very exciting, and but during a live show it can get really hairy, and if anything went wrong I'd have to shuffle things around, and I'd sometimes have to rewrite an introduction or something like that, and sometimes, like very, very rarely, but sometimes I would get it catastrophically wrong and just put the wrong part of the script in auto cue in the wrong spot. And so instead of kind of introducing the guest, they would be onto their third question or something. and you just happen, and it would, I just remember that sinking feeling and that feeling of panic of, this is going out live, and I'm just catastrophically stuffed up and put the wrong thing in there, and they don't know what they're saying, and the show's fallen apart, and it's all because of Scotty here. And particularly when we often have to do kind of like live crosses and stuff like that, where half of the team would be in, Western Australia and the other half would be in Melbourne or something. They were always just nightmares.
Yeah.
I just remember that working on the project as being really fun, because in the writer's room you're bouncing ideas off each other and coming up with jokes and doing what you do. And so having a great time combined with a feeling of absolute dread.
Yeah, okay.
Because, if I stuffed up, then it would have dire consequences. But that was really fun. That was such a machine to work on that show, because there were so many producers and so many different kind of departments, and because we'd have to churn out a half-hour show every single day, and so there were a lot of people working on that, and it was I learned a lot from that show. Learning, mostly working under pressure. and also drinking. A lot of. I'm going to pick up a bottle of wine on the way home.
Oh, so you only learnt that in 2018. That's
no. I perfected it. I perfected it in 2018.
Right.
But it had been a lifelong journey up to that point.
Yeah. That's good then.
Yeah, I'm quite pleased with that.
I'm glad with that.
Yeah, things
good.
are going well.
Yes.
Can I get a gin and tonic, please?
So on the way home from here, you're going to just pop into the bottle and get a couple bottles?
I did on the way.
Oh, perfect. Let's get them out then.
Let's crack it open. All right.
All right, moving on to television. You've done quite a few appearances here and there in a few different Australian films and television. Let's start with Neighbours. You played 2 roles in Neighbours.
Oh, look, I kind of, like, when I was first started out, I mean, if you're an actor in Melbourne, you get on, you would get on Neighbours at some point.
Yeah, and
because they'd have to just churn through people. But when I first started out, very early on, there was a period there where if they needed someone who looked like a uni student, I would get the gig. So whether it was just in the background or saying a few lines or whatever and stuff like that. And so that was kind of my first speaking role in Neighbours.
Yeah.
But then I went back and got to play Josh Burns.
Yes.
The editor of the local newspaper that was the rival newspaper to Paul Robinson's. So he had a lot of kind of, Paul, a lot of...
Yeah.
And doing scenes like that with Stefan Dennis.
Yeah.
It's like, I love this. But the thing was, I did, a few episodes, and then, that character just kind of drifted off, and then they called me back, and I was like, oh, great. I can come back. I'm going to be one of those characters that drifts in and out, and fantastic. Love that. Fun to work on, easy money, like just, go and...
In between shows.
All that kind of stuff. And I was thinking, I'm pretty chuffed about that. But then I had to go in for a wardrobe fitting for that second block. And they said, we just need to check your hair against the wig we've got for the stuntman. And I was like, stuntman? And the wardrobe woman said, yeah, you die. You die in this. I was like, God damn it, I finally got it. Oh, God. And that was how I found out that I died. And so...
nice way to find out, hey.
Nice, yeah. Thanks for telling me, Neighbours. Oh, Jesus Christ. Stefan Dennis should have mentioned it. Yeah. And so my storyline, because Pippa Black, I think, was leaving. Elle, the character's name was, and they needed a big dramatic thing for her to leave. So they were going to kill me off as her boss, and she was going to be there when I died. But it was great. It was probably, if you're going to die on Neighbours, this is the way to do it. Where my character was, we were chasing a story, and so Pip and I were kind of climbing. We were going into a sewer for some reason. It was never really made clear why, but the ladder collapsed, and I fell, and basically spent an entire episode lying on the floor of a sewer.
Easy money.
Slowly dying, and saying things like, so cold. And my final line before I died was, tell my wife I love her. To which every queen in Melbourne showbiz just watched that and went, as if. But there was just some of the dialogue was just, I do remember there was a bit where I had to say, Elle, yes, Josh, would you think I was a wuss if I asked you to hold my hand? And she had to say, probably, but I'd hold it anyway. Then she held my hand and I had to look up at her with no irony and go, don't let go. And so we were mucking around during one of the rehearsals, and I'm sure there's a video of this somewhere where I looked up and said, Elle, yes, Josh, would you think I was a wuss if I asked you to suck my dick? Without blinking an eye, she looks down at me and goes, probably, but I'd suck it anyway.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So that was my Neighbours.
You mentioned they're working with Stefan Dennis. Did you work with any of the other long-running cast at the time? Would you remember?
I think Ryan Maloney might have been, Toadie, and like it's kind of because it's so fast-paced. And actually, on my first day in the studio of that, I thought we were rehearsing the scene. And they went, okay, and action, and we did the first scene. They said, okay, and moving on. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, this is how fast you shoot, because it's just a powerhouse churning out. So, yeah, like the first scene that I shot, I thought was a rehearsal because that's what you do in TV. You do a rehearsal for camera and all that kind of stuff. No, it was done. We're moving on. So I was like, oh my God. So it's so fast that everyone's kind of there all the time.
Yeah.
And so there were, lots of people kind of in and out. It's all a bit of a blur, really.
Yeah, yeah. What were your thoughts on it ending?
Oh, it was like, I don't know how they sustained it that long. Like, I don't know how you can, I'm amazed that surely they'd have to recycle storylines and all that kind of, because only so much can happen on Ramsay Street. I mean, there was everything but an alien invasion on Ramsay Street. But, it's always sad to see those things kind of go. Like, I grew up with it. I remember, Kylie and Jason back in the day, and like it's such a part of Australia's TV culture that it is sad. Maybe it needed to kind of move aside to make room for other things, but I don't know what's it's all these YouTube videos, and I'm looking at you, Connor. I'm looking at you.
I don't watch YouTube, just TikTok.
You ruined Neighbours.
me personally. Just me.
Yep, they just watch you and went, nah, we can't go on.
We've got to make room for Let's Chat Showbiz.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, it is a bit sad, though.
Now, you did 2 guest roles in Blue Heelers.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember much about that?
I do. My very first one, I had 2 lines. And so stupid. I played I don't know whether it was a duck hunter or a protest or whatever, but there was the scene was a duck hunting protest, and someone had been shot.
Yeah.
Yep. Protester, okay. And I had to come running around, like, the police are going, get back, protesters, which I think was pretty much exactly the script. And but I had to come running into the shot in these gumboots that were far too big for me. So I'm like, ah! And my lines were, help, help, someone's been shot. One of the Blue Heelers went, where? Just around the bend. So those were my whole 2 lines. And so we came back, and one of the main characters had apparently shot this poster. But I found out years later, I was telling this story on the set of Skithouse one day, and Fiona Harris, who got me the job on Prank Patrol, said, oh my God, I was the one who got shot. And we'd actually worked together in that scene years before.
Oh, wow.
And did not even realise it.
Yeah. Wow.
So that was pretty fun. But then years later, I went back and did a guest role as I think his name was Josh as well.
I've got Wayne Bayless.
Oh, no, Wayne, that's it. Wayne Bayless, that's right. Wayne. I look like
I can see it, yeah.
But I played a hero firefighter who ended up being the one starting the fires. Spoilers.
Right.
But that was kind of fun because my very first scene in that was bushfires, and there was a house was on fire because of the bushfires, but there were these gas tanks on the front porch, and I had to go running in to get the gas tanks out before they exploded, and people were going, no, Wayne, no, stop. And I had to cut the things and then drag these the gas tanks out. But the character had this dog, I think, called Sparky, and they were inseparable. In the script, they were inseparable. In real life, that dog fucking hated me. It just hated my guts. And at the end of this scene where I dragged out the canisters, the dog had to run up to me. And the only way we could, and I had to pick him up and go, oh, Sparky. The only way we could get the dog to come anywhere near me was by putting sausages in my hand and hiding it from the camera so the dog would run up to me. And then I was like, and as soon as it ate the sausages, I couldn't get away fast enough. And I tried to grab it, and it bit me, like luckily I was wearing gloves, it bit me on the hand and ran off. And that was my best buddy.
Sparky, hey?
And then another scene where I had to walk into the pub, which was kind of the epicenter where all the sandwiches were being made for all the firefighters and all that kind of stuff, holding the dog. And they would literally, like waiting for my cue, they would literally hand me the dog at the very last second. And by the time I was halfway through the doors, this dog was just like, and it would hit the ground and skid and then run away. So that was fun. Never worked with children or animals. Or that fucking dog.
Now, you were in 20 episodes of Comedy Inc.
Oh, yes.
which was a sketch comedy series predominantly featuring stand-up and impersonations. Did you enjoy that?
I did, yeah. That was very different to Skithouse, though, because Skithouse, I think we did 12 episodes a series or something, or maybe 8, I don't know, but they were half-hour episodes and we had plenty of time to film it, whereas Comedy Inc. was like 20 episodes and hour long. And so we just suddenly, it was like working on Neighbours. It was just churn out, boom, 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 boom. Yeah, that was fun, actually. Fiona came and joined us on that one as well. And I had a few old buddies in that cast, so I kind of just, like Genevieve Morris, Paul McCarthy. Yeah, that was really fun. I just love doing sketch. I love putting on stupid costumes because you just get to play a million different characters and do stupid accents and voices and often, one day you're a pirate and the next day you're kind of having sword fights with kind of frills and the next day you're working in a dry cleaners or something. So it's kind of. It's just so much fun, and you get into this kind of rhythm, particularly with everybody else, where you're just mucking around on set and it's just having a great time. So even when it's really hard work and it's, long hours and all that kind of stuff, you're still just playing dress-ups.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is, I think that's like probably for a lot of kind of performers, it is just an extension of that, of play, of being a kid and dressing up and pretending to be different people.
Yeah. You've done guest roles in things like Stingers, Rush, Upper Middle Bogan, Secret Life of Us, 5 Bedrooms as well. Do you think there's a lack of work in television for actors nowadays?
I think it's harder because there's less production. There's kind of less going on because it is so. I think because the avenues for getting shows out has diversified so much that it's kind of diluted it in some ways. So there's kind of less money. It used to be that, the 4 main networks had all the cash and that was where you went to get your show done. But now it's just kind of spreading out and I think it's going to continue to change and diversify. And I don't know where that's going to head, but I don't know if that necessarily means there's more work or less work for kind of jobbing actors.
Yeah.
I think there's probably more opportunity in terms of diversification, which is kind of I've always wanted to kind of try everything and do everything, and so I think there's probably more opportunity for that because like there's acting and voiceovers and directing and writing and but it's kind of harder to access it all, if you know what I mean, to be across everything. So I think kind of managers and agents and that kind of stuff, it's a much more difficult job now because you've got to keep track of a whole lot more stuff.
Yeah. Now, you're obviously here in Adelaide for Fountain Lakes Y2K. Well, before we talk about that, let's talk about Fountain Lakes in lockdown.
Oh, yes.
It's the first one you guys did. Saw it last year at Adelaide Fringe Festival. Now, you played Brett and Kel in the show. What was your first thoughts when you approached or given the script for this show?
Rubbing my hands together with glee because it was Thomas Jaspers who approached me, and he's like my brother. He's a dear friend, and so working with him is a dream.
Yeah.
So I was like, sure, whatever, yep. But then I've never been great at impersonations.
Right.
So I was a little bit hesitant because the only impersonation I can do is Maggie Smith.
Okay.
Yep.
Please.
Do you want Downton Abbey, Maggie Smith, or Harry Potter?
Harry Potter.
Come with me, Potter. I think I found Gryffindor, a new seeker.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Thank you. Yeah,
can we have Downton Abbey now?
And what exactly is a weekend?
Yes, I love it.
So yeah, that's the extent of my impersonations. I mean, you've seen Y2K. I play Colin Fruiterer in that, and it's terrible. It's just awful. But I did kind of go, I'm not. I was a little worried about that.
Yeah.
But thankfully, like I did a lot of work, and it's they're kind of simple characterizations in a lot of ways. But yeah, my only concern actually was, is anyone going to pay attention to me? I'm on stage with 3 drag queens. It's basically 3 peacocks and a pigeon, and no one's going to see me. But I just once we started, I just had a ball because I loved, like I said, I love that playing lots of different characters, and so there were because I was playing Brett and Kel, I would come on stage as Brett and walk off and quickly change my clothes and go on as Kel and then come off and change and then Brett. And I just that's when I'm in my element. I love that kind of, that frenzied, just got to get back on and do something else now.
Yeah.
And that just started off as a 1 or 2 week season. I can't even remember in St Kilda.
Yeah.
And it went so well that suddenly we had a kind of national tour. We went up and down the whole East Coast. We played the Sydney Opera House and the Powerhouse in Brisbane, and then we went across to Perth, and then of course last year we went to Edinburgh. Did it over there, and then we did another Christmas show at the Melbourne Arts Centre, where they just went, we've got 2 weeks at the...
You played Lizzie Birdsworth?
I did play Lizzie Birdsworth.
My favourite.
Of course, I knew.
That was the best thing. That was the best thing.
Oh, but you bum, you bloody bugger. It's all about the legs, because I've got really scrawny chicken legs. And Thomas is like, we've got to show off those scrawny... I noticed you've cut to a...
Oh,
lovely.
there we go.
Look at that. Look, that's just a pipe cleaner with a shoe on it. Look at that. He said we've got to show off those legs.
And
Scott.
He was the freak.
He was the freak.
So funny. It's diabolical.
In prison with the mushroom murderer, and just honestly, these shows, like, they're just insane. And sometimes I'm just on stage, looking around. I just go, what are we doing?
On Prisoner, because I love Prisoner.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch Prisoner?
Yes,
Have you worked with anyone? You mentioned Sally Bourne earlier before.
Oh, Sally Bourne, she's divine. Not too many. I did a little thingy with Jane Clifton.
Oh yeah.
Many years ago at the Arts Centre. I was doing Spontaneous Broadway.
Yes, I've got that coming up.
You got that coming? Oh yes. And she was on that. I'm trying to think. Not very many from Prisoner, but I can, this is how old I am. I never did this myself, but I had a friend who, this was even before they got a VCR, I don't know, for you to that. And if Prisoner was on and they were going to miss it, they would set the tape recorder in front of the TV and press record and just listen to it later.
Oh, we're so privileged now, aren't we?
Yes. Oh, God, yeah, that takes me back. But yeah, I was obsessed by Prisoner. And so, yes, working with Jane Clifton was a real thrill.
Yeah.
She's Jane Clifton.
The old Margot Gaffney.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Now, you performed at the Adelaide Cabaret Festival, where you did a show called Spontaneous Broadway.
Spontaneous Broadway.
Tell me about that and what that involved.
It is the best show in the world. Andrew McClellan, who's a comedian from Melbourne, said to me once, he did it lots of times with me, and I agree wholeheartedly. If there was one show, if I had to do one show for the rest of my life, it would be Spontaneous Broadway. And I was like, yes. It's an improvised musical. And so basically what happens is when the audience comes in, they have to write down an original song title on a piece of paper, so a song that doesn't exist. And they put it in the bucket of dreams. And there are about 4 or 5 improvisers, and we come out and we pick a handful and we pick one that we like. And then one by one, we pitch a musical to the audience. And we say, this song is from the musical, blah, blah, blah. And we just, make up the story. It's sung by this character at this point in the show, and the song is called whatever the title is on the piece of paper. And once the audience have seen about 4 or 5 pitches for musicals, they get to vote by applause on which musical they see in its entirety.
Right.
And if your musical gets picked, you have to re-sing that song at the point in the show when you said it was going to come.
Right.
And you never remember what you've done in the first.
Right.
So you just basically... so it's
all fully improvised?
Fully improvised. The wonderful John Thorne plays is extraordinary. Like at the very start, when you're pitching the musical, you can say to him, this is like an ABBA song, but it's sung by a Russian peasant. So if you could make a kind of Russian, and he would just just start, and he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so yes, at a certain point, you'll start improvising, and then he'll just start playing at some point, and then you just have to sing a song, and you do duets, and we do group songs, and it's always just chaos and fun, and it's really just the best show in the world.
Yeah, right.
And then we created the kids version, which is random musical, which is kind of like the kids have to write down a word on the piece of paper that starts with the same letter as their name. And so we'd come up with the title for that. And they'd say, it's the hairy monkey or the jumping spider or so, that kind of thing. And so then we improvised one for kids as well. We did that at the Opera House years ago now. And it's just fun. You're just mucking around on stage. It's all just play. That's all it is. Just kids mucking around and being silly.
Now, I want to talk to you about your friendship with the late Kel Wilson.
Oh,
how did you first meet Kel?
I first met Kel on Skithouse. I knew of her, but she came. They brought her across, I think, for the second series of Skithouse, and from the moment we met, we just went boom. We just got on like a house on fire, and immediately clicked to the point where people in like the crew who kind of didn't know us were saying, "Oh, when have you two worked together before?" And we're like, "We haven't." Like, we just literally on the first day went, "Oh, you're awesome," and just, oh, what a divine woman. And just, we really just got on like a house on fire. Yeah. Both obsessed by cats, both crazy cat ladies, both just a little bit silly and but she's the biggest heart, that woman. And so from then on, we were really, really close. She's been really instrumental in kind of my life. I've had a couple of lumpy bits where she's just really sort of stepped up, and vice versa. And really kind of a true friend. She was an absolute true friend. Yeah, absolute dear. But I still, she used to call me Spoody, and I'd like. And like if I was somewhere and I didn't, I would just hear Spoody from across the room, and we'd see each other and hug and make silly noises. Yeah. Spoody, and just, she was mad, that woman. Yeah, it's divine, just absolutely divine.
Now, another great we lost recently was Maxie Shield.
Oh, Maxie.
Obviously, you were in Edinburgh with Maxie.
Yes.
Tell me about Maxie, your friendship with Maxie.
Oh, Maxie's divine. Like, nothing gets past Maxie, and she does not suffer glues. Did not have to use past tense. Now I'm still not used to that. She wouldn't take any bullshit, basically. But we took Fountain Lakes to Edinburgh last year, and Lisa Mann, who originated the role of Sharon, couldn't do it, and so Maxie stepped in. And it was an absolute trooper, because it's, we'd been doing the show for a couple of years, and she just had to kind of, step in. It's like joining a series in like the 10th series or something and having to fit in. And she just went click, and was absolutely wonderful. And she's just a loudmouth, big, loud, brash, fun. Just no bullshit, would just say things as they were. And it's like Edinburgh's a tough festival. It's because it costs so much to get across there. You've just got to perform, and you've got to try and sell the show as much as you can, and you can't there's no such thing as a night off, because a night off is money lost and all that kind of stuff. And she just powered on through. And of course that was when she was kind of diagnosed with cancer, and so that was really tough, because there were a few shows there where she was really kind of struggling before she went to hospital over there, but it was an absolute trooper, and just fitted in with the rest of us like a glove. It was like we'd been doing it for years and years and years. She was such a talent.
Huge loss.
Yeah.
Now, you're also a part of Granny Bingo.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Tell me about Granny Bingo.
Well, Granny Bingo has been going for more than 10 years now, which I can't, we're going to keep doing it until we are actually the age of the grannies. But it really just started, Thomas Jaspers again, and Carl Manal and myself. And it started off ostensibly just as a bingo night, where we would be three grannies and they'd be hosting bingo. And it's kind of grown from there, and we've been doing comedy festival shows and touring and all that kind of stuff. And I think I can say.
I think you can.
Yeah? Yeah, I think it's been announced.
Yeah, it's been announced.
It's been announced that we are making a vodcast for the ABC. So that'll be on ABC iView, and it's kind of mid-year, I think, and so we're kind of working on that now, and we're going to be shooting that very, very soon. But that's kind of basically kind of interviews with people, and where they do the granny thing. And like the setup for the grannies is that it's Edith Vale and Maureen McGillicuddy, Thomas and Kyle, and they're just really, they're kind of evil, not really evil grannies, but they're just all of the best and worst attributes of people of that generation. Yeah. You know, you and you LGBT chat GPT. People, you know, yes. No, you can't say that word anymore. You can't say it. We can't say anything anymore. Everybody's gay now. And so, but I play Caroline Springs, who is a mute, and she's just pure evil. She was actually very active in the Nazi Party during the Second World War.
Right.
Yep, she was actually kind of, you know, Goebbels' mistress for a while, and like that. And so there's just, and she's pure evil, but she's completely mute. And so I spend most of those shows just going and just doing horrible things and calling the granny, like writing notes. I'll just pass Maureen a note, and it'll just be, yeah, you're a fat mole. Thank you, Caroline. Yes. But that's just grown and grown and grown. We did a great show a few years ago called A Visit with Nan in a Caravan. Mm. And that was actually, we performed that in a caravan. It was like 10 people per show. We did like 15-minute shows where we bought a caravan and got the audience in there. And the caravan was covered in souvenir spoons from everywhere. And so we had a particular kind of cup of them in the middle of the table. We'd be like, oh, we'll make you all a cup of tea. Can you just hand me a spoon? And depending on which spoon the audience member picked was the story that they heard, and we'd tell the story. They'd tell the story of their visit to that place. And it would always end up with someone, Caroline, doing something evil, or someone getting horrifically hurt, but was really funny and just really kind of evil. And yeah, we did that show a couple of years in a row, and that was I love that idea of doing shows in little spaces like that. I actually did a show in a lift many years ago with my dear friend Edwina Lunn, who's actually the mother of my son. Okay. We have a little boy. Hi, Leo. 10-year-old boy together. But yes, and I love, playing in those sort of little spaces. And in the lift, we would, it was just, we would go floor to floor, the Melbourne Town Hall, or different characters would get on and off, and there'd be zombies and pirates and the Hen's Night, and just it's fun and silliness. Yeah. But the grannies have, they've really kind of grown more and more. We've done a few festival shows now, and now we've got this. And
you've had some pretty famous people come to shows. Patty Newton.
Yes. Patty's a bit of a regular. She's divine. We've had Rhonda Birchmore, who you've had on here. Who else have we had?
Denise Scott. Denise Scott.
Yes. So, it's been 10 years, so we've kind of, Joel Creasy's a regular.
Yeah, of course.
Of course. I'm trying to think who else. The Alan Cumming.
Oh, yeah.
He wasn't actually a guest. He was in the audience, but then I think the next day, flew and had to do a red carpet somewhere, and then I think they did a cross on the project to him on the red carpet, and he said, I went and saw Granny Bingo last night, so I gave us a shout out from the red carpet of whatever that was.
How good.
We've had so many amazing.
With the Kath and Kim show you're doing, have you met any of the original cast?
Yes, Pete Rose-Thorne, who I've worked with once, I think, once or twice. He came and saw the show.
Yep.
And loved it. And that was but they didn't tell me that he was in the audience, because they knew that I would lose my mind.
Yeah.
if I'm playing him on stage. And we got to the very end and we're just about to go out and do the very final scene, and Thomas just went, "Congratulations, Scott, you just performed in front of Peter Rosethorn." I was like, my mind flashed back. I was like, okay, how did I do? What did I do? Did I make him look bad? But he was great. We've had Mark Trevorrow has come to see it, and he's just a lovely, he's a dear anyway. So, he's always really encouraging. I feel like you know better. Who else has come to see it? Come on. No. I feel you've done your research, Connor.
I feel like that's the only Kath and Kim cast that have come to see it.
I think it is. Yeah. I think you're right.
Yes.
I'll take your word for it. I think so. But they are aware of us.
Sharon's lover. What's his name?
Tony Martin.
Yep.
Tony Martin has come to see it. See? Oh, and he's divine.
I've done my research.
You are very good. See, I knew you'd know. But they are aware of us. They, they know. And basically that their attitude is, look, we spent years doing parody. We can hardly hate you for doing that. Actually, yes, it was, I think it was the day that we opened at the Opera House. And Thomas got a phone call from Rick McKenna, who's the executive producer. And, oh boy, Thomas go pale when he heard who was on the phone. But Rick was lovely and said all that, said, look, we've done parody for years, and that's when I've got us to kind of change a couple of things for kind of trademark issues. But they're aware of us and they're happy to kind of, let us go.
Yeah. Now, on that, who's the most famous person you've met?
Oh, that's a tricky one.
Other than Thomas Jaspers, of course.
Other than Thomas Jaspers. He's also the most annoying. So, 2 lists there. Probably the one that I was most excited about, because I'm a huge Doctor Who fan.
Right.
Was Peter Capaldi.
Okay, yeah.
Because I just think he's the most extraordinary actor, and it was such a lovely guy. He was on the project.
Oh, okay.
When I was working on it. And I didn't know that it was coming up. I just turned up to work and just saw on the run sheet Peter Capaldi live in the studio. And I had to go and sit on a step for a little bit because I was very excited. And he was so charming and so friendly. And because there were, comedy writers, we're all nerds to some extent. So there were a whole lot of comedy writers, people from the comedy room lining up to kind of meet him. And he was just perfectly charming. So that was probably the one I've been most excited about. I'm obsessed by David Bowie as well.
Yes.
I don't know if you can.
Oh, yeah.
Can we see that? Oh, hang on. There we go.
There
you go. There. You can edit that. There we go. I'm obsessed by David Bowie as well.
There we go.
There we go. And, last time he was in Australia, I was still working on Skithouse. Yes, I was. Yeah, we were doing Skithouse. And so I went, and he was going to be on Rove Live. And so I went to Rove's office and went, Rove, can I come and be in the audience for David Bowie? And he's like, yeah, sure. Yeah. And so made special arrangements where we got to sit in the studio in the studio for his sound check. And so I just kind of sat a few metres away from him while he did his songs a couple of times, and then got to watch the show. And I kind of waved to him, but didn't really get to speak to him because I don't know if I could have. He's like my idol. I would have just, he would have said, hi, and I would have just gone, rock God. So he's the probably the biggest one that I've been close to. Let's just say that.
Yeah, and you mentioned there Rove McManus. You've obviously worked with Rove quite a few times.
Yeah.
What's Rove like?
Rove is exactly born to host, that boy. Exactly how you see him on TV. He's lovely, charming. Actually saw him in Perth just a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. But yeah, it's like, as I've known him for like 25 years or something. He was kind of one of the big guns in stand-up. It was before all the Rove Live stuff when I kind of first met him and Pete Hallier and that. And yeah, Rove's divine. He's just my favourite story that Rove told me that we were talking about Bert Newton before the cameras were rolling, and for a while there, Bert and Rove had the only kind of talk shows. And Rove told me that so often if someone was coming out to to publicise their movie, some big star or whatever, they would both have to talk to them. And so they'd put on a special screening of that film so that the hosts could kind of see. And so he said often it was just him and Bert Newton sitting in a cinema by themselves holding hands and eating popcorn and watching the movie.
How iconic.
And it's so iconic. It's such a lovely image, just the two of them, just gently holding hands, just having a lovely time. Yeah, feeding each other popcorn. There you go, Bert.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rove's divine. I love that man.
Now, at the end of each episode, I ask a question to ask the next guest. Now, we don't know who the next guest is yet. However, our last guest was Darren Gilshanen, and he said, his question was...
Okay, what about how do you balance life and fantasy?
Gee, that's a good question. I know you've done the eyebrow too.
Yeah.
Like you can't ask that question and not do the eyebrow. That's a really good question. Because I guess the fantasy version was, we'd be making squillions of dollars but I think it's to remind myself why I do it.
Yeah.
And the reason that I do it is because it's fun. And it's, you can kind of shoot for fame and fortune, but actually just doing it is why you do it. It's just that nuts and bolts of getting up on stage and connecting with people. And we do a wonderful thing after Fountain Lakes, after the show. We go outside and we get photos with the audience and get to meet them and chat to them. And people come out with such big smiles on their faces and are so positive and are so excited. And that's my favourite bit of doing it, is actually seeing the reactions afterwards and having, because not often when you're doing stage you get that applause and whatever, but then it kind of stops. To actually get that kind of extended contact with people. So and that's really amazing. I always kind of walk away with a spring in my step because there's so many happy smiling faces.
Yeah, of course.
So I think it's that, remembering why you do it, and it's not just about, the fantasy is always to be, Harrison Ford or the Sam Rockwell or all those sort of people. Yeah. But really the thing that drives you is to just get up and have fun and connect and do as many different things as you possibly can. So I think I've done that. That's my measure for success.
Yeah. Now, a question for the next guest. We don't know who it is. It can be a question about anything. I've had all sorts of questions. One of the questions was, and I'll ask you this, on scones, do you put jam or cream first?
Jam.
I agree. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, because the cream's
Sally Bourne said the same
much.
thing.
Yep. She's a wise woman.
That she is.
No, because jam is thicker than cream and it's a better base.
Yeah, you can spread the jam.
Exactly.
You can't dob the jam on top.
Oh, look, I would argue that anyone who said cream first is probably a sociopath.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'd call the police. Yep. How do you react to someone on public transport who hasn't learnt that headphones exist?
I love that so much because I work on a plane every day for a job and people don't wear headphones.
It's
all the time.
It drives me insane. And there's all these kind of young people going, I downloaded the latest app and everything. It's like, it's got the latest iPhone and they're all really up to date with technology and they get the newest thing, but then they forget that headphones exist. I don't want to hear your TikTok. I don't want to hear your music. I don't care. I don't want to hear, is this a private conversation or can we all join in? See, this is my age as well. That rage builds. As you can look forward to this.
Yeah,
as you get older, that rage will just get worse.
What other things rage you? Anything else rage you?
That's the one that's really irking me.
Yeah, okay.
And when they move around things in my supermarket and I have to relearn where things... No! I don't like it.
Okay, Pauline.
I'm a simple soul. Yes, no, but it's the headphones thing. It's people having conversations and just...
Yeah, right.
So there you go. I'll be interested to see what the response is to that question.
My final question for you, is there anyone you think would be good on Let's Chat Showbiz?
Fiona Harris.
Yeah?
Yes.
Fiona Harris.
Fiona Harris. She's amazing. I've mentioned her a few times actually, and she's an extraordinary actress and comedian and writer. She's written lots for television. She's written a whole bunch of books. I think she would have some very interesting things to say.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time, Scott.
My absolute pleasure, Mike.
Thanks for tuning in. If you want more episodes of Let's Chat Showbiz, you can follow along on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Instagram, TikTok, and even Facebook for all you oldies. See you next time on Let's Chat Showbiz.